So first on the show, we have screenwriter and author Dougie Brimson.
Good morning.
How are you, my friend?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good. So Dougie, we're here to talk to you today about some of your works. Obviously, you've wrote the movie Green Streets, and you've published 17 books, but we're here to talk about one in particular.
One in particular, yeah. It is an actual book. I'm not just made this up for the purposes of this podcast.
Would you describe it as one of your lesser-known works?
It is one of my lesser-known works. It's also one of my favourite works because it's about one of my favourite subjects, which is obviously farting.
And it's been published. How long ago was it published?
It's been published as an ebook. I think it came out about 4 years ago.
Okay, so if you're wondering what we're talking about, Dougie, tell us about The Art of Fart.
The Art of Fart came about. I was writing a movie about a guy who loses his legs in Iraq, which is quite a heavy subject.
Yeah.
And one of the things I do when I'm writing is I have at least two subjects on the go at the same time, so that I can, the mythical writer's block, which is another subject altogether. But I just switch from one project to the next.
Allows your brain space.
Yeah, it's like it clears the cache out, if it's something heavy. And with Boots on the Ground, which is the movie, I just sat down and started writing stuff about farting from my childhood, and made myself laugh because it's a very heavy movie. It's very depressing, and farting is very funny, and it cheered me up. And so by the time I'd finished writing the movie, I had laughed a lot, and I had about 15,000 words of anecdotal stuff and just ridiculousness relating to farting. And so I said to my publisher, I said, look, I've got all this stuff. And I said, I can do, there's something here. Every bloke loves farting. It's just a thing. What can we do with this? And he said, well, why don't you just put it into some sort of format? And we'll put it out as an ebook. So I said, oh, okay. So that became my next project. I've never laughed so much in my life putting this together.
Cool.
So can I just let me just get this straight. There you are, writing a script about a bloke who gets blown up in Afghanistan, presumably a soldier, gets blown up, loses his legs. I mean, it's about as traumatic as it gets. And at the same time, you're giggling away to yourself as you
it's not at the same time. It's like, because you're totally engrossed in what you're doing.
Yeah.
So when you're writing a scene about this guy's lying in hospital, he's wondering how he's gonna survive, if he's ever going to fall in love again, if anyone's ever going to love him again, what he's going to do. All of these things to the point where he ends up contemplating suicide. Right. And one of the other lads on the ward kind of says, "If you ever attempt it, I'll kill you myself."
Oh God!
So I mean, it's a very happy, but it has a great ending. It's a very good ending. And so it's really you sat at your own. It's solitary profession, right? So you sat at a desk. It can be really depressing. You just switch out something else, and you cannot get as far apart, from a guy who loses his legs to a guy who farts, and so it's a way of not just clearing your kind of emotional brain, but of getting your brain thinking again.
You mentioned a childhood history of farting. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, this comes back to the construction of the book, the way I constructed the book. I'd done it before with another book called The Geezer's Guide to Football, which was a parody about being a football fan from the point of view of me, who'd kind of been there and done it, and football hooliganism and all that sort of stuff. And so I kind of adopted the persona of a hooliologist. Right. Or a fanologist, to talk about, for all the guys who discovered football after the formation of the Premier League, this is how you because they all, the prawn sandwich brigade, you all want to say you're football fans. You're not football fans. You're just blokes who watch football. But if you want to be a football fan, this is how you do it. So I thought about how I was going to do this for the art of fart. So I constructed this kind of persona of a fartologist.
Right.
Who was an expert not just in what farting was about and why we farted, all of which is covered in the book, but why men in particular derive enjoyment from it.
And what were your conclusions?
Well, it's in the whole book. That I explain, how. From my point of view, I've got four brothers. My dad was an entertainer, primarily a comic. farting was his weapon of choice. So he would literally fart in our face or whatever.
What, on demand?
No, because
that's incredibly difficult to do. You can't fart.
His interest in farting came from his time in national service, when his best mate used to be able to fart at will, and he would always stand in front of my dad on parade.
Yeah.
So as soon as I'm going. As soon as this guy, the sergeant major, would approach my dad, this guy would let one go. But my dad knew he was going to do it already, so he was already giggling. And the sergeant major would literally tear my dad to shreds.
Tear him a new arsehole, as we say.
Basically, yeah. And so my dad was always in trouble. And his love of fighting kind of came from that. So he would use it to, assault us kids, basically.
Okay.
And he'd fight in our face.
So child abuse by farting.
Well, as we grew older, we kind of started to fart back. So we would develop weaponry of our own. And stuff like we would fart into jars, and then when he was asleep, we'd open the jar under his nose, so he was kind of inhaling the fart. And then another thing we used to do was eventually, and we were battling ourselves as well.
Yeah.
We used to fart into crisp packets.
Yeah.
Run up behind one of our brothers and literally smack the crisp packet over their face and hang on like a bucking bronco around the room. But of course, then you've got a salt and vinegar flavoured fart is not really any fun. And but my dad, because of the frequency of these attacks from his four sons,
yeah,
he started to realise he was in massive trouble.
Yeah.
So being an entertainer, he kind of thought, well, rather than use this as kind of a battleground, because my mum and my sister were horrified by this.
Yes. Girls generally
because the house
are.
hummed. Yeah. So what my dad did was he set up a microphone, which was on pause, and every time someone had to fart, they had to record the fart.
No way.
Yeah. So we had C90, the old C90 cassette tapes. We had tape after tape after tape of fart noises.
Fart noises.
And we would sit. And I mean, this is the most bizarre form of family entertainment. We would sit and listen to tapes of our farts. And
cry with laughter.
Yeah, because this was long before the internet.
Yeah.
We would cry with laughter. And then I joined the Air Force, of course. You're in a 22-man barrack room, so farting, it's like, I'd come in some nights and it'd be noisier at night than it was during the day. It was insane.
It's good for me to hear, actually, because I must confess I do that to my oldest. I'm the youngest, so we sat on the sofa and dropped one on his head.
No way,
really? My son does it to me and he's 32. I wrote stuff. There was farting etiquette when you're out and about.
How to fart on the left and get away with it type thing.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. When you're with your new girlfriend, who farts for the first time? As P. Diddy famously said, never trust a girl until she farts in front of you.
Yeah,
that's true. And then I did stuff about the battle of the sexes, so about men and women farting. There was, and then I went into the actual science of it.
Okay.
I call it the process of putrefaction.
Yes.
And about how you can actually brew up a fart by stuff you eat. Then I looked at farting in the media, so you had stuff about Mr. Methane, who's a famous profiler.
Yeah.
All these kinds of things. Then I went into farting fun and about how you playing the anal oboe, like you play tunes, how you get your fart to how you can make your farts, fart into music. I can play a tune. Not Flight of the Bumblebee, obviously. You'll end up in A&E. but stuff like that. And then like going into extreme farting, so it's lighting farts and freezing farts and stuff like that. Oh, my Lord. I mean, when I was in RAF Bruggen, I worked in 431 maintenance unit, and we had a liquid nitrogen plant there. So you're producing nitrogen for aircraft. Nitrogen gas.
Yeah.
And it's really boring. It's a really boring job. So me and the guy I used to work with, who was the RAF Germany rugby captain, so you can imagine, what it's like. We experimented with making ice cubes out of farts.
Yeah, ice cubes out of farts.
Freezing farts. You can do it. It is possible.
You have frozen a fart.
Yeah, you can do it.
You have created
possible.
A fart ice cube.
If you fart into a jar, put the lid on very quickly and put it in the freezer. You will get a small degree of frozen particles. But we used to fart in ice cubes and drop them in people's drinks for fun. And it comes into this thing. No one else knew, but we knew. And that was where
you must
drive
be
the humour.
only people in history to have
No,
frozen
lots
a
of
fart.
people have done that. And then I went into urban myths about farting.
Yeah.
About where the word fart came from.
Go
because,
on.
Well, people think it's Cockney slang. It's not. It's actually the other way round. Because Cockney slang for fart is raspberry tart.
Yeah.
Which is where we use the word raspberry came from.
Yeah.
But fart. Now I've written this down.
That's good. Etymology.
Fart is derived from the Old English word fjorten,
Yeah.
which means to break wind,
Yeah.
and it's considered echoic in origin, which means it sounds like the sound.
So it's a word that sounds like the sound.
Yeah.
it's
So
describing.
the Cockney slang came from fart.
And you don't think that might? Sorry, we've gone down an etymology.
No, I'm happy with this. It's good. Yeah. We're learning something, Ed.
Is it? You don't think it's something to do with German farter, which is the word for
No,
father?
this is the historical definition.
Really good.
And then finally, I went into a glossary of farts. And this is one of the funniest things I've ever had to do, where I just literally named types of fart.
And that was what you were doing whilst you were writing about the limbless bloke.
In part. So I'll give you some examples. The funami, which is a fart which rolls along, causing destruction as it goes.
Yeah.
The Federal Express.
I can see where these are going. Yeah.
The Federal Express, a fart which is held back and delivered at a time and place to suit the owner.
Yeah.
The Maffa King, a fart which comes as a blessed relief. I'm going. I'm holding it together. It's all right. The Barry Sheen, a fart which starts quietly, rises in volume, and then tails off because it sounds like a motorbike. And the Chanel No. 2, which is a fart which smells quite nice. And there are pages of that.
Oh my god!
So it's a good giggle. The other thing I did, I'm taking up your time. I developed something called the Guffage rating for the book.
Oh my god!
Tell me more.
Yeah.
Which is it works like the blood pressure readings in format. So I know I'm reading this now. So you've got two numbers, one above the other. One's 0 to 10.
Yeah.
The first relates to noise. The second to smell. So a bog standard silent but deadly is a 0 over 10.
Yeah.
And a non-smelling firecracker type fart is a 10 over 0.
That's me. I'm a 10 over 0.
Yes.
That's how I fart.
So I guess the Holy Grail is a 10-10 there.
The Holy Grail is a 10-10.
Yeah.
And that's
a loud, smelly fart.
That's a kind of splatter type fart. Everything you can think of relating to farting is in that ebook.
So you are the fartologist.
Yeah.
That's great.
Happy days.
I've kind of embraced that title. I'm quite proud of it. But yeah, and the funny thing about the book is so many women have read it and absolutely love it. I derive pleasure from stuff like stealth farting, where you're literally, and we used to do this as kids.
A 10 over 0. Or a 0 over 10.
No, a 0 over 10. It's like
10,
proper. Where you're, we used to go on escalators and fart at the bottom of the escalator, so that everyone following us would have to go through it, and we'd just stand there and laugh at the expressions on their faces.
A gas cloud as you come off the escalator.
Stealth fart. It's the funniest thing I've ever written. I read some of it last night, and as I said, my wife asked me to leave the room because I was annoying.
You were just crying with laughter.
I was crying with laughter, and I kind of laughed of stuff I wrote, which is, I don't know if it's quite sad or quite good. I'm not balanced out, but it amused me.
No, I think it's great.
Brilliant, Dougie. Thank you very much for your time. I mean, I don't know about you, Ed, but I've definitely learned something today.
Oh well, I mean, I tell you what, Dougie, fantastic. Thank you for coming in. I am so going to go and get that book, and that needs to be a staple on my.
You can download it from Amazon.
Is there a hardback?
There is no hardback copy. You can download it from Amazon. It's 99 pence.
And it's called
The Art of Fart.
The Art of Fart on Amazon, and Dougie Brimson is the author.